Hello out there. Hello from Olympia, Washington, on an average, temperate, but rainy and very damp day. I was pondering back on earlier in my early adult years, where I was dreaming about what I wanted to be and accomplish, and I wanted to help people through my music. I still do, and it's not quite to the degree I'd like it to be, but I wanted to help people because I saw people struggling. But I got humbled by being someone that needed help, struggling. And it's very hard for me to reckon with, oh, there's a deer in the road. I'm watchful. Even though I do these videos while I'm driving, haven't hit a deer or a car or anything, other than some hellacious bumps in the road occasionally. Anyway, a side tangent. Yeah, I wanted to be a pilot because, I have good eyesight, but I was never very good in school. But anyway, back to the subject I was talking about. So yeah, I got humbled, being the one that needs help. I would have good days, but that was only 40 to 60% of the time. And I felt like I got really discouraged in this pit of depression because I would just be there so long for segments of time that I would kind of forget how it feels like to feel good, and it would just eat away at me. And I've talked about entity attachments, and I always wondered if this was because I had a pretty tough upbringing, very poor family. Dad couldn't keep a job. Mom and dad were always fighting. Too many kids. They had no plan. They were just religious folks that they're trust God. God will provide. And they would always ask for help from people and stuff, and I just didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be successful and be able to actually help people and have a sense of honor in that, in this world. And yeah, there's some ego involved in that, but it's more altruistic. And who doesn't want to be formidable and have stamina and endurance through this life? So I always pursued that, and I just couldn't understand. And back in my religious days, I was like, why are the gods just making things harder for me than they have to be? Don't get me wrong, I love a good challenge, but I want my heart to be in the challenge, and I don't want to be constantly fatigued and bereft. And I was doing everything I could to be healthy and just naturally high, and it really discouraged me because I just couldn't seem to achieve that. I mean, I would every once in a while. I'd have a good day, and it made me realize, I'm like, oh, this is possible. But for 5 years, I was, not completely sober. I would have drinks occasionally, and I had quit smoking. I had even quit coffee for a bit. And after enough years of the depression just continuing, I finally got on medication, even though I was against that. I didn't want to be on any pharmaceuticals. I just wanted to be all natural, that natural high of life. But it just wouldn't occur very often. And it just messed me up. It really messed me up. And I ended up, smoking weed again, and partying a lot after I moved to Chicago, and I just let loose and have fun. I'm I just want to enjoy my life. I don't want to have this internal struggle anymore, even though as we know, it just ends up compounding. But one interesting thing, my grandmother has dementia, and my dad has something kind of like that. He can't remember anything. And it's just, for me, kind of triggering to be around him. I don't hang out with my dad anymore, but I'm just like, I do not want to be like that. Just scatterbrained all the time. He didn't do drugs or anything. He didn't even like drink coffee. He was just religious. But he was kind of an accident child. Like, his mom had him when she was 50, and he never met his dad. It was in New York City. He like went to all these foster care homes and claims that he doesn't like remember his childhood. But in the dissolution of our family, as far as the horrible things that went down, abuse and whatnot, I don't want to get too specific on what happened, but clearly he had some kind of trauma that happened to him that he never resolved, and then he committed a crime, and it just ruined our family. And it was very sad and shameful, because, you know, I thought I came from a good family, and I even got like jealous of my friends that had like a good family. I'm like, I just wanted that. Like, I don't, you know, we didn't need to be like super wealthy, just a good life where we can enjoy our work and work together and have that special family time. I saw my friends having that. But anyways, getting back to the mental struggle thing, one thing that made it really hard was I would feel like I'm kind of declining over time. Like, some things are harder, but I also learned how to learn, so some things became easier. And I think this is for a lot of people, to varying degrees of difficulty. That's why some people that go through that challenge are like, you just need to, you know, to quit whining and just fortify. Well, I'm actually a pretty tough person. I used to do fasts and stuff. I used to be really diligent about being my best self and being healthy. And so, like, talk about a huge discouragement for that not working out for me. Because that's not how it is for most people. Most people, when they clean up their life, they, like, figured out what they want. But also through my childhood, I never knew what I wanted to do. I didn't really have much of a passion, and then I discovered music. And that became my passion. And I have videos here on YouTube and the social medias of little clips of me playing, and that's just what I do. And every once in a while I get hired for a recording. I'm in a couple projects, but I work a job like a lot of musicians. And occasionally I'll do guitar lessons, but the money I make with my passion is not nearly enough to even get me close to like a tenable financial situation. But anyway, getting back to like my struggle, I ended up, you know, smoking weed every day and stuff, and I don't do that as much. I don't do it every day, but, you know, after work, if I'm gonna play some guitar, I'll play like without getting high, and then I'll get like kind of tired of practicing the same thing, and then I'll have a little cannabis, and it kind of gives me this boost. And for me, it's always enhanced the musical experience. I'm able to really get into the minute particulars, like the little nuances, the little details that just make things tasteful and like interesting and pull you in. So it is a bit of an enhancer, but it's kind of like, it's not that it's better than just pure consciousness, it's just a little different. Like, I don't prefer to get high when I'm playing live. Actually, that's not true, I have a little bit before, but like the live performance experience is kind of a drug experience of its own on the natural. Because there's the energy of like the people, and it's a whole presence. It's a whole vibe. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so it ended up being it's just what it is, and I keep working towards it. But oh yeah, what I was saying was, it's kind of a trade-off, because you're not necessarily as good socially if you're stoned, or even it's a trade-off. You can get into the minute particulars, and I really like the effect of cannabis when I'm just practicing on my own, and I can really get deeper into like details and stuff of things. So I see how it's really helpful with art. And of course alcohol was that way too, and it took quite a while for me to make that not my lifestyle anymore, because anything that affects your sleep, even cannabis affects your sleep, but alcohol puts so much stress on the body that you end up declining over time. And so that was also causing a decline for me. And I finally got out of that thanks to the help of Kratom, because I had a similar effect from Kratom that I have from alcohol, but without all the stress on the body. So that's kind of my story of how I got free of, a very unhealthy lifestyle where I was already struggling mentally to begin with. And I still feel a kind of background decline where some things just get harder through time. And it's haunting to me, because I always want to get better over time, and I do get better over time. But there's this part of me that I feel like is declining, and I'm not scared of dying, but I don't want to end up getting old and like my mind declining. I just see friends who've gone through Alzheimer's, and I used to be a caregiver for people with dementia until I couldn't do that anymore, because it was daunting to me that could happen to humans. And so it just goes against who I am naturally for this disposition. Sorry, it's really loud in here. It's raining hard. This is just Olympia, Washington. I'll wrap this video up soon. I just wanted to talk about that because it's so critical to my experience. And I know I'm not the only one, but mine's just a very unique one in that way. And the last thing I wanted to say is there's this illusion of when you get all sober that, like, all your problems were from addiction. But that was just one layer of it, and it's an underlying thing was the mental toughness to begin with in the first place. So now being on antidepressants and finding a balance that's at least a little more tenable for me, Kratom's really helped me with that, because I'm already at a disposition on the natural that is it's not tenable as far as like the things I want to achieve in life and the person I want to be. And a lot of it comes down to ADD, which I've had my whole life, and I'm not on any stimulants for that, and Kratom is the thing I found that helps me the most. But I'll still have, even without any cannabis, like long before cannabis, fugue states where I literally just kind of go into trance for a few seconds, and if I'm doing work, I just go into my subconscious involuntarily, and my subconscious, like, I'll end up like messing something up because I'm not paying attention, and that's very frustrating. To have your attention span disrupted like that really affects your mental health. And so I realized that was kind of like the underlying factor, and there's not like a cure for it. You just have to make what you can of it, and it's tough, it's really tough. But I've been able to be at least successful enough to support myself and like do what I like as far as music. So anyway, I'd be curious to hear things of things that have helped other people that can maybe relate with my situation. Anyway, that's the great thing of the internet, or like YouTube, is we can interact with people that we normally wouldn't encounter in our like local environment, or endemic to the region that we reside. Anyway, that's my little bit for the day.